And with the U.S. trying to exclude China from the supply chains, another key economic issue between Seoul and Washington involves semiconductors, as much of South Korean chipmakers' production takes place in China. Our Moon Hye-ryeon has more.
The future of the chip industry is going to be made in America.
During next week's bilateral summit between the leaders of South Korea and the U.S., discussions on Washington's Chips and Science Act are expected to take place in order to address some of its rules and uncertainties for South Korean chipmakers. The act was signed into law in August last year as part of President Biden's plan to foster semiconductor production and research in the United States, after disruption in the supply chain during COVID-19 left the production of electronic goods dwindling and costs rising. The bill provides $39 billion towards funding manufacturing incentives. And according to the U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo, as of last week, more than 200 companies have expressed their interest in grants. Currently, 3/4 of global semiconductor production takes place in East Asia. Samsung Electronics dominates the market share for DRAM chips, followed by SK Hynix. And according to market research company TrendForce, the two companies combined had a market share of 72.8% in DRAM sales. With the grant and loans available through the CHIPS Act, Samsung Electronics could cover up to $5.95 billion of its $17 billion investment in building its Texas plant. So what's stopping them from applying? The Korea Economic Research Institute published a report last Friday to highlight 4 rules from the Chips and Science Act that would need to be addressed. Of these, the greatest issue would be the limitation on the expansion and new construction of facilities in countries of concern listed by the US, China in particular. Nearly half of DRAM chips from SK Hynix and 40% of flash memory chips from Samsung Electronics are produced in China.
Of course, the semiconductor market will grow bigger in the future, and companies would have had plans to increase production capacity in their facilities in China as a result. So it's true that there are now restrictions preventing that.
Another area of concern is the 1-year reprieve on export restrictions on semiconductor machinery to China, as it is due to expire in October this year. Whether these issues can be resolved with a satisfactory conclusion for both parties during the summit remains to be seen. Moon Hye-ryeon, Arirang News.